Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the United States of Captain America Issue 2. And this issue had more problems for me than, the first issue, mainly because of who we got, behind everything, and how they kind of set up Nichelle right. So, I liked the beginning part where we see that Steve's in Gettysburg and we got this cool, interesting kind of his kind of perspective on the Civil War and the battle there, and how we're kind of still dealing with it today, and how he was in the Scouts and they went on a field trip to Gettysburg, and he had to pee and he was going to do it in the wheat field, but somebody popped up and said, "Hey, latrines are over that way," and it was just a funny little story of kid Steve recognizing this fact, and of course he's pretty much waiting for Sam to pop up. He comes up "Yeah, all right, we gotta head on out and everything," and that there's some trouble a couple hours away, and of course this details more in Harrisburg kind of area, because this is the Harrisburg area cap, and he of course doesn't want him to kind of hot rodding with his bike, but of course Sam goes and does it. He's got some good lines. There's good dialogue between Sam and Steve in this issue. You really get a good sense of their camaraderie here. But they go and they see that there's a pipe that was burst and everything. It's oh, okay. And we're getting two different perspectives on Nichelle. This one woman being hey, she's an asset to the community, and the other one being costume vigilante, doing stupid stuff, and they're of course he's blaming the thing that happened with the pipe on her, but they see that it would have been done with a shield kind of more similar to the one that was stolen from Steve, and it's kind of cool seeing them kind of being "Hey, Steve, where's your shield?" Because Sam got his from Misty. It's okay, that's kind of cool, and the flippant response of "No, don't you have any extras lying around?" What? It's AAA batteries and flour tortillas. Shields is I got one from Tony, and he's using the kind of energy one, which is kind of strange because we then get into a fight thing going on that we find out that it's not waterproof. And I'm Steve wouldn't have gone into a battle with a shield that really wasn't waterproof, and Tony wouldn't have made him a shield that wasn't waterproof. It's really fucking weird. I'm okay. But they, of course, figure out that the imposter cap's behind it, and he comes in speedster style being ha ha ha. And no subtlety whatsoever. It's yes, we're doing this to make the hate grow and grow and grow. And it's alrighty then. And they're kind of fighting him, but then the masked lady pops up and shoots Sam in the shoulder and says, "Next one's going in between your vertebra," and all that shit. And of course, this is where Steve Shield's kind of screwed up, but he's able to take some debris and chuck it at her ass and be "Eat me." And then, of course, Speedster motherfucker takes her away, and they're "Alright, cool." But evidently they're going after the Cap Network and all that. So they go down to the station, and of course we get the asshole cop sheriff dude being "Nope, I don't want any of that problems, and now we got her for all this, and I don't care," and all that shit, and being pretty much a downright dick cheese. Pretty much rubbing it in Sam's face, and Sam kind of chucks his ass out the window. Steve's alright, let's get to this and get her out of here, because they're probably going to come after her ass as well. And then we see Nichelle sitting in the jail cell, pretty much making Andy Griffith joke vibes. But of course the dude Guardian's "Oh, hey, yeah, this wasn't right, go take her out." And they're "Hey, we got to get you out of here, because somebody's probably trying to kill you." And she's "Yeah, nah, screw you guys. I got my shit to do." And I'm the two Captain Americas pop up and tell you that your life is in imminent danger, and you're "Nah, I'll handle this myself." It boggles my mind the kind of attitude she takes into this, and I'm I understand not trusting certain authorities and everything like that, but she doesn't seem to really look up to Steve or Sam. I don't know which Cap she kind of looks up to or whatnot, and I don't know why she's going for the Captain America kind of motif when throughout the whole pretty much rest of the stuff that we see in this issue, she could have really just dressed up as anything to do what she's doing. It was very kind of confusing because I'm like, okay, I understand doing these caps and everything, but this really cemented for me. It's like, I don't know, I got a bad feeling that like this is going to be like those one and done kind of caps of like, okay, you got a lot of kind of cool stuff building up this cap network, and you could do something with this, but I don't know. I'm like, all right. And they're about to pretty much leave the police station. She's like, oh, everybody duck. And we see these headlights and stuff, and she saves the dumbass fucking sheriff dude. And so like hiding behind stuff. And we see that the masked woman has a 50 cal or some kind of giant machine gun strapped to a truck and is blasting everything in the police station. And when this is over, Nichelle is like, you know what, I'm still gonna go and do stuff my own way. I'm like, you got framed for something you didn't do, and somebody rolled up a truck and tried to kill your ass with, like, heavy machine death-stopping power. And you're just gonna be like, nah, I'm cool? It really fucking breaks my brain comp-wise of like, listen, I understand that you're like cap of the people, cap of your area kind of stuff. But if this is how you operate on things, especially taking up a mantle of Captain America, that's gonna bring these kind of crazy ass fuckers on your ass. And to just be like, nah, I got this, with like no plan or anything for it, just really bothered me. I'm like, alright, I don't want you to be dead, but that's an attitude that's gonna pretty much get you dead. Shit. But Cap is able to kind of like use the energy shield, get up, and he's like, oh, where's all that kind of tough talk that you were doing about the vertebrae and shit? She's like, I don't want to martyr you, you son of a bitch. And then tries to flamethrower his ass and like, I didn't bring anything for the barbecue. And they go off and escape. And he, of course, is able to... He calls it a Jerry accent. I'm thinking that's more for, like, maybe like a German kind of accent. And you can understand why as we get towards the end. But she pretty much knocks him, being like, yeah, you deal with your in the clouds kind of stuff. I'm like, in the... I mean, one of the great things about Cap and Sam is they can straddle those lines, and they're like, listen, we also want to help here and everything. And the thing is, they don't really... He talks to Sam about, like, doing some schooling and learning some stuff about the areas, but they don't really learn much about, like, Aaron's area expertise. They do more of this kind of stuff where you just are there and then kind of move on. Like here, they don't really learn that much. They just learn that they needed better water, and she's mainly more of an activist, and then for some reason does vigilantism because we're mainly told a lot of shit, but not shown a lot of shit. It's really kind of weird, but she's like, yeah, do whatever you want. If you ever see Aaron again, tell him, yeah, cool, he's a good kid and all that shit, and she just walks off. And I'm just like, you don't need to get Sam and Steve's help. Sure, that's fine. I understand trying to be self-sufficient. But there's, like, wanting to handle a problem on your own, and then, like, a giant fucking problem that would deal more fucking damage. I mean, shit. They didn't care that they were going to destroy a police station to kill your ass. Okay? It's... I'm sorry, I know I keep harping on it, but I'm just like, right. And then they're going off to kind of get more on the trail of the Shield Stealers. And then, of course, towards the end, we find out that the dressed up Cap is Speed Demon, who I wasn't really that familiar with, but he's like in the Squadron Sinister, which is kind of confusing because we did have like the Squadron Supreme recently doing stuff in the Avengers and the whole like Heroes Reborn, all that kind of stuff. This dude's more the evil kind of thing. It's really kind of weird. And that the masked lady is Sin. Of going by Superior, and that they're trying to destroy the symbol of Captain America and all that kind of stuff by killing the people that by stealing the shield and doing weird shit as Cap, framing Cap, and killing the Captain's network. It honestly is both like too simple and too convoluted at the same time. It's like, what? And the thing is, we've had these kind of stories before, and they can be done when they're executed well. It's just this is like, all right, I can somewhat on a level think that like taking out these captains would do something, but you'd honestly had a better thing with like the Hydra Cap screwing over and like sowing distrust in Captain America than, I don't know, going around and killing the people inspired by Cap. I mean, granted, there'd be some kind of thing, but that would put people more pissed off at you than with you, you would think. It's really kind of weird. It's like your objective is to destroy the symbol of Captain America. I get that. But your way of doing that is to get a speedster dude dressed up like Cap, steal the shield, and then pick fights with other people that we don't know really as Captain America, and that would just mainly affect those areas more than on a national stage. And your objective sounds more of a national stage kind of thing than this kind of like focused areas. It's really, really kind of weird. So then we get the story for Nichelle, and it doesn't dive into her origins really at all. It just continues from the back point where she's like, oh yeah, I got broken out of there by my friends, and now I'm a fugitive, and she's like running around, and we're getting like pretty much everything told us of what's going on. She's pretty much trying to escape. She ditches her phone. She talks about how she did her activism and everything like that, and giving us more details on that. I'm like, okay, it sounds like you were a better activist than what you're doing here. Granted, she's trying to like do both things at once, but I'm like, if you were able to get that pipe, which evidently the powers that be didn't want, you had more success with that. It's really kind of weird. And evidently, her big kind of fight scene is that two guys are in a restaurant. One of them's waving around a gun and shooting a gun, happy that she got arrested as like a terrorist fugitive. And then she just comes in and like stops them, even though the people are like calling the cops on her. And just like, I think I get what you're trying to convey with this scene, but it's not really working. It's like, alright, that dude's being an a-hole. And I get her coming in and stopping it, and I'm like, there's this asshole being like, yeah, I'm happy that this person's arrested, waving around a gun. I'm like, alright, that's kind of fucked up and stupid. She comes in, brings Maximum the Pan and shit like that, and then she tries to escape because the cops are coming, and then somebody like drags her to like a church and all that, and we get pretty much introduced to her backup support system that just pretty much coalesces out of nowhere. Like this Ben dude, who's evidently another kind of like gymnast athlete kind of thing. And then her big sister comes in and has this video of all these people thanking her for all these things, and we're told that she's done these things, and we see her pretty much crying and like thankful that the people are supporting her and all that kind of stuff. And I get that they're trying to be like, okay, this is a Cap for the streets and everything like that. And I'm like, Cap would do that too. Cap does that too. And it's like, okay, I get that to a certain extent, but we are not really shown it. The amount we're shown is some weird ass kid waving around a gun, pissed off at her because what her activism did got his dad fired? It's really fucking weird. It needed more work and better execution for what was going on. I'm like, alright, okay. Because we see that she's helped various different kind of groups and all that through the video, and that she's going to continue what she's doing and doing the work on the streets, even though we are not shown the work she does on the streets. It's weird. It's a lot of telling us and not really showing us. And I do hate it that I like the art in both sections of this, and that they do a good job of showing her doing the poses of the gymnast, but we don't really see the her different kind of style. It's really kind of weird. Yes, using a shield and everything like Cap does have a certain kind of fighting style that you would kind of get a little bit kind of stuck in, but we don't really see a variance in her kind of fighting style compared to any other kind of Cap. Sam, of course, would be using like his wings and all that and fighting kind of differently than Steve because he doesn't have the super soldier serum. Bucky has a different fighting style as well because he has something similar to the super soldier serum as well as his Limerium arm. We don't really get that with these Caps at this moment, and I'm really like, what are you guys doing here? I like the idea, I like the concept, the execution's just whacking out all over the place, and I don't know about this. I like seeing different Caps, but they really aren't going as deep as they need to in the areas that they need to like really showcase these as characters more than we're just gonna get okay, here's a Cap in a different area and all that. It's like, I don't know. I hope it kind of balances out or shakes out or whatnot, but I don't know. This is a weird instance where I'm like, okay, we've got the reveal of what's kind of going on and what their objective is, but I'm like, okay, I don't know, man. I don't know. I wasn't. This issue was very weird. It's like, alright, we'll have to see how this kind of goes. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.